so many more important things that an agency should take responsibility for, way above the actual delivery of the event experience.
Events agency should be responsible for is challenging the brief. Ownership of your project, reporting up, understanding your event objectives, understanding how you're measuring success of an event, of course, all the logistical preparations that happen around it.
Yeah, but isn't it funny that that's the thing that you might immediately leap to, and yet we've kind of pushed that so far down the list. There are so many more important things that an agency should take responsibility for, way above the actual delivery of the event experience.
Well, a good agency should understand, even if it's not even their remit, audience, content, messaging, brand, promotion.
But for me, one of the things that an agency should be responsible for is the working relationship. Creating that sense of assurance, confidence, expertise, professionalism,
motivation,
trust. The agency has to take responsibility for those things, because if you disregard those things, then that creates an awkward dynamic. There's this great graph that kind of talks about anxiety levels over time, and the difference between the agency team and then its client team's anxieties. And typically, when you look at the anxiety curve being the vertical axis over time, both parties start at very different points on that axis.
So a client's anxiety at the beginning of a project is up
very
here,
high,
and agency's is very low.
And why is the agency low?
Because they know what they're doing.
And why is the client team higher anxiety?
Because they've just appointed an agency
that and they don't know, maybe don't have a relationship with yet.
Or they're anxious, wondering if the agency has understood what they're trying to achieve. So the client's up there, agency's down there.
And then
as the relationship starts, the anxiety of the client tends to come down, because they trust you, they feel you've got the understanding, the project's on course.
Confidence is there,
And the agency anxiety goes up because there's more for them to do, there's more planning, there's more deadlines, there might be decisions taken by clients.
Maybe some difficult conversations
all that sort of thing. So what happens is the curve goes up and the agency ends up there and the client ends up down there, and there's a big gap. So at the beginning there's a big gap, then they come together at one point where they're both working in harmony. Agency goes up, client goes down. That's when communication is massively important. Because your client's got low anxiety, you've got high anxiety. So every time you get a gap, on this curve, it's important to communicate.
Focus the attention.
And as you get nearer to delivery of the event, the agency starts to go into low anxiety mode because everything's sorted, they're comfortable, and the client gets more and more anxious because they're going, is my event going to be all right? If you don't chat to each other in those communication gaps, those gaps get wider and the relationship just falls apart. So the idea is right at the beginning, whilst you might have a gap because you're a new agency or it's a new relationship with a client, it's always trying to close those gaps. So the anxiety, it's never high. It's always about middle. You're on a really comfortable level of working relationship because communication's going along. So that's like a straight line.
And the reason why I think it's so important is because I think that is one of the principal responsibilities of the agency.
Awareness.
Is to be aware of that and to be able to respond directly to those moments of greatest disparity between the two parties. And so, to echo that point that I made, isn't it interesting that we've pushed the actual delivery of the event experience a little bit further down the priority order when it comes to what's an agency responsible for, by putting more importance on exactly that kind of understanding.